Are you prepared for Christmas? Is your dog prepared for Christmas this year? We're talking about tips to make sure that it is safe and fun for everybody. Welcome back to the McCann Dogs Podcast. Hey, Swanee.
Yes.
What did you get Honda for Christmas?
So far, Honda's got nothing for Christmas because Santa brings him his gift.
Oh.
So I don't have to worry at all.
Santa Paws.
Santa Paws is going to make sure he drops something off for Honda.
Nice.
Yes.
What do you think he's going to get? Have you put in any requests on Honda's behalf? Or
Well, I'm kind of hoping Honda's had his eye on the new electric Mustangs.
Oh. That'd be a good gift.
Yeah, so that's, he's had his eye on that, and he's been a good dog. So that's what I'm hoping Santa brings him.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
How about you? Do you get your dog's gifts, or you just wait for Santa?
Levon and Ned are going to get, those bouncy castles?
Oh.
They're getting one of their very own,
Like
but it's going to be like
a princess bouncy castle?
It's going to be like an enrichment bouncy castle. So there's going to be like 3 kibbles hidden. Oh, I'm thinking ball pit actually.
Oh, a ball.
So it's going to be a hybrid bouncy castle with a ball pit in it. And there's going to be 3 kibbles in the ball pit.
Right. How deep is this ball pit? Like, is it waist deep?
It's going to be bigger than waist deep for them. They're going to have to swim in the ball pit to find those 3 kibbles. That's going to be some serious enrichment.
You know what I'm thinking? I think that's a great idea. And we have huge training halls at McCann's.
Yeah.
Let's just trade them into ball pits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are we training dogs when we can have ball pits?
Exactly. Fill them all up with balls. Put 3 kibbles in.
Yes.
And send the dogs loose.
When I used to take my son to trampoline parks, they would have a trampoline area where you jump on the trampoline, and you fall into a big foam pit full of foam. And one time we were there with one of Ty's friends, a girl, and her necklace fell off in the foam pit.
Oh,
and basically they just get you out of the foam pit, and they say, once a week we take all the foam out of the pit and pick up all the change and junk and everything that's fallen out. So give us your name and number.
There's a young man down there named Huey who's been there all week. Thanks, I'm finally getting out.
At the end of the week, you can get your necklace back, basically.
I don't know why he's named Huey.
I don't know.
That's just what came into my head.
But, well, you know what? As a grown-up adult, I thought, that looks like fun.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how hard it was to get out of this foam pit.
Oh,
once I landed, it's like, I'm struggling. Yeah.
Well, there would be nothing to take your weight. Everything would just be sinky. It's like walking through really deep snow, right? You're like, oh, this is exhausting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And in the meantime, the teenage referees are trying to get as many kids through at once. So they're like yelling, like, get out. I'm like, hurrying.
I can't. I need some sort of a hoist system.
Yes. But it was
I wonder
fun,
if once a week as well, they also lower down the ropes so that people can climb out.
Yeah. You're in for a week.
My goodness. Sorry, we only empty the ball pit once a week. You're in there for good. It does look fun, though. I would totally do that.
Yes.
I think it keeps you from dying, too, if you're practicing your flips and whatnot. So it's probably a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yes.
No broken necks for us. Alrighty, so we're talking about Christmas today.
Christmas, Christmas is on its way.
That's not Christmas.
No, that was the circus song. We
need like a because it's Christmas.
Yes, it's Christmas
is coming. Christmas with the cranks here in the studio. That's what we have dubbed this week's podcast.
Right. Yes.
Christmas with the cranks.
Yeah, and it's feeling Christmassy. Ontario got a dumping of snow, so suddenly now it's great with all the snow and all the Christmas lights up. So it's quite festive feeling.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. All right.
Okay, Shannon and I have had a lot of sugar this morning.
So we sugar up for the podcast so we can be as entertaining as possible. It just, woo. All right. So what we want to talk about today is keeping Christmas fun, keeping Christmas safe for the dogs. If you have a young puppy at Christmas time, or a young dog, I should say, at Christmas time, it can have all sorts of dangers to it. So we want to make sure that we are setting our dogs up to be safe. We also want to make sure that if we have a young dog in training, we have some preparation to be able to help them with their skills in training. And we're not going to end up blowing all of our good training by having this, fun Christmas Eve where all the family members and great Aunt Ida comes over and our dog training falls apart.
Right.
So,
yes. So there's lots of components to Christmas.
There are.
Right.
Yeah, there's Santa, there's sleigh bells, there's lights, there's candy canes.
Right. But
dogs.
I want people not to think of it too as a lot of people become overwhelmed. It's like, oh, we got a puppy before Christmas. But I like to look at it as, wow, what great experiences for socializing, getting the dog accustomed to new environments, and training experiences.
Yeah,
so
true.
I'm excited to have a Christmas puppy because it gives me opportunities that I don't have the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So look at it that way. Look at it as it's a great experience.
Absolutely. So you said something interesting today. You said Honda didn't even look at the tree this year.
Right, yes. So we got our Christmas tree. We got a live tree, and well, it's no longer live. It's been cut, but
it's been murdered.
Right, yes. And Honda's 15, so he has seen many Christmas trees. And it's funny, we brought it in the house. Honda was fast asleep on his bed. He watched us put it up and struggle to get it all straight and get the stand all straight. And since that day, he's never even looked at the tree. Never bothered to go near it. So it's funny.
Did he ever try to lift his leg on a tree in his life?
No, he never has done that. Now, the only thing he will do is Honda gets an itchy back. He's like a bear in the woods trying to rub his back on a post or a tree. And so I'm just waiting for him now because he does it every year. He likes to go under the tree and rub his back on the tree and on the branches as an itch. So that's what I'm watching for.
It's falling over.
Yes, but no, he's never knocked one over. And what I do is I put bells. So I have a whole bunch of collection of bell ornaments.
Okay.
And I put them all around the bottom of the tree. So the moment his little body touches the tree, ding, 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 and I'm alerted that he's near the tree.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, and at 15, he's got the freedom to go and investigate the tree because he's loose in the house. He doesn't need to be, definitely doesn't need to be created at 15 years of age.
Now, if he was 15 weeks, I wouldn't be relying on listening for those bells. I would probably still have the bells, but I'm relying on my eyes and my crate. Yes.
Well, I am... like
Levon's first Christmas.
Yeah, I'm like a Grinch at Christmas. I really don't decorate. When my partner and I first got together, he was like, you don't decorate anything? I'm like, no, because I usually go out for Christmas. Like I usually go to my sisters or their families or, wherever I'm going. I don't usually have people in for Christmas.
Well, and the Grinch does steal other people's decorations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so you go to other people's houses and take theirs.
Well, so he bought me this tiny little tree because if you know me, you know that I do not like clutter. I do not like a lot of stuff. I'm quite the minimalist. I like to have empty space. If I look in a closet and there's no room for anything, it makes me anxious. So I like to look in my closets and, I have some stuff in my closets, but it's very concise. It's very organized, etc. So I don't want to have stuff around that basically comes out for a few weeks every year and then is just storage.
Exactly, yeah.
For 11 and a half months,
That's the trouble with Christmas things. I see so many beautiful ornaments and then I think, well, where am I going to keep it all year?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and luckily my sister really likes the tree, really likes the ornaments. So all of the things that were like important ornaments for us when we were kids are now on her tree.
Nice.
And her kids have been added to it, etc. So I still get to experience that. I'm kind of spoiled in that respect. And I don't have to store it all year, which is great.
Now keep in mind, Shannon does have 12 acres. So she's got lots of storage room.
But it's nice and clear. Actually, I could cut my own Christmas tree from my acreage, no problem. You wouldn't even notice.
I should have came and got a tree from your house.
Yeah. Next year.
Next year.
But anyway, so he bought me this tiny little, it was probably about an 8-inch tree. He was like, here you go. Now you have something to decorate with. And I was like, okay. And the relationship was new and I kept it for like that year and then maybe the next year. And then I was like, no, it's going away. Like it went to Value Village or something. I got rid of it because I was like, I forgot to take it out the following year. And I was like, now I'm not like, now it doesn't even have this purpose. So out it goes.
Did you have anything at your house?
Not really. No. You know what? I do have, when I moved in last year, I did buy a whole bunch of like just white solar lights, like the little white solar lights, and I did my my porch railings.
Oh, that would look really nice.
And
that would look nice. Yes,
I did the cluster of trees that are just in front of the deck, and I left them because I thought they looked so pretty. I thought, you know what, these are year-round things, but unfortunately, they've had some accidents. There's only one string left living because I do a lot of mowing and I do a lot of whippersnipping, and you can fill in the holes there. So I think I only have one left that survived because the cords are quite delicate on those. So I might find some replacements for those because I really do like it. Like
that would be pretty.
They looked beautiful.
Be very pretty.
Yes. But yeah, I'm not a big tree person in the house. But so having said that, I go to my sister's and I bring the dogs with me to my sister's. So it's going to be a good training opportunity for Levon this year.
Yes. So how will you have a new, like a teenage dog?
Teenage dog, man.
At Christmas time.
Yeah. He's 9 months now. So he'll be 9 months then too, because we're in December.
We're in December. Yes. So what are your
9.5 months?
What are your plans? Yeah. What are your strategies?
Yeah.
So he doesn't end up.
The really nice thing about crate training is that now your dogs become very easily portable. So I will be able to spend time working with Levon, training Levon, letting him be part of the festivities, and I will also be able to tuck him away in a crate and say, okay, now you get to rest, and I can let my hair down and not have to worry about managing this young 9.5-month-old puppy. He already, he knows a lot of great obedience skills in that setting already, not because of Christmas, but because she has cats.
Yes.
So she has 2 young cats, and the cats are not dog cats, if you know what I mean. Like the cats that are happy to be around dogs and don't run from them, etc. Her cats are not those type of cats. They run and they go, oh my gosh, they make themselves big targets for the dogs. So Ned, of course, has been well versed in these cats since they came home, and my sister had cats before that, so he's had experience with them. So he'll be a piece of cake. Levon, it will now be all the Christmas stuff plus the cats, because he's of course had to get used to the cats. But having said that, because he's had to get used to the cats, we've done a lot of work around the cats, and he knows how to listen very well around the cats. So I'm relying on those listening skills to take me through a lot of the Christmas stuff, which means that because he has those good listening skills, he will be able to be a bigger part of the Christmas adventure. If he didn't have those listening skills, I'd probably be relying on the crate a heck of a lot more.
Or at the very least, keeping him on a house line and holding it, or his leash and holding it.
Yeah, so, for sure.
I find too at Christmas, especially when there's children involved, there's an energy that's not there throughout the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And dogs, being creatures, they feed off energy very well. So, yes. And with your niece and nephew, there'll be that extra energy in the air.
Most definitely. And they do make his brain go into full on almost explosion mode. So not as much my Chloe, she's 15, but with Smelly.
Poor Elliot.
Elliot became smelly. It became smelly. Like, it's going to fall. It's like me. I'm Auntie Pooh, because everybody out there who's named Shannon, tell me what your nickname is.
Shanny Pooh?
You got it.
Like shampoo.
No, like from Winnie the Pooh or something.
Winnie the Pooh.
Honestly,
I was thinking like shampoo.
It is usually P-O-O-H from what I've experienced. Like my family has always spelled it P-O-O-H, so I'm pretty sure it's more related to Winnie the Pooh. But it just seems like the automatic nickname for, like, any other Shannons I've ever met. They're like, yeah, I was Shanny Pooh too. Shanny Pooh. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like the early edition of a Goldie Poo or something.
I don't know. Yes. Yeah. I didn't realize you had poodle in you.
I know, right? Next, they'll be calling me Aunt Doodle. Auntie Doodle. No, seriously, though, like, it's so funny because Chloe's 15 now. She's got a boyfriend. Right. And, like, I get introduced to her boyfriend as Auntie Pooh. This is Auntie Pooh. Like, oh, my God. Yeah, that's me. It's my legacy. It used to, when I was a kid, it used to bother me being called Shanny Pooh because it was embarrassing, I guess. But now it's like I love it. I embrace it. It's very special. Like, it just gives me warm feelings all the time. So whatever. Auntie Pooh. I'm Auntie Pooh. That doesn't mean I'm against Pooh. It doesn't mean I'm against Pooh.
I'm against Pooh.
I am very much for Pooh.
I'm against it. I think the world would be much better off without it.
Much cleaner without Pooh. Yeah, Levon's got some great listening skills, but he definitely gets stimulated by my niece and nephew. Right. My nephew more so. He was actually down on the weekend doing some being a gunner for me and throwing some ducks and shooting the gun and whatnot, so I could train Levon, and it was a fun experience. I really, really, really love doing that stuff with him. Anyways, he does get very excited. I usually make sure that Levon doesn't really get to interact with him for about the first 10 minutes that they're together, right? So Levon is either doing a lie down, or I put him on a place, or he's in his crate or something, so that his energy can just calm first before I let him interact with Smelliot.
Right. Yes. And
Just
that's
because the excitement's too much.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I like to do too. Like when my Christmas guests or any other guests arrive throughout the year, the last thing I want is my dog like bombing around, like, possibly jumping on them, just getting into mischief. And I'm sure my guests don't want that either. So I always make sure that the dogs are away. Once the guests have their coat off, they're seated, maybe I've given out a drink, then, okay, let's let the dogs out. Yeah. If they're guests that enjoy my dogs
out. So here's what I want to ask you and what we should talk about today. What is the reason that you do that? And what is the detriment for not doing that? Like what would happen if you didn't? You have a young dog and your guests come over and you just let the dog be a dog and be loose. What happens?
Well, the dog is doing what they want to do. And often it's self-rewarding behavior. Yeah. And now it's becoming an expectation. The dog says, when people come over, I get to jump and bark and run around and be goofy.
Yes.
And it starts to escalate. And now the dog says, you know what? It doesn't matter who comes over. That's what I behave like.
Absolutely.
So I don't want that type of behavior. I want my guests to come over and be able to get their coats and their shoes off without getting bopped in the head by a dog as they bend over.
Yeah. So, and Great Aunt Ida might be like a little bit more demure and like, I don't really want this dog jumping on me. Great Uncle Phil might be like, bring on this puppy. Right. And he might have a wrestling match with the puppy. There's such a variety in the people.
Yes.
And then there's such a variety in the expectation with the dog. But when it comes down to it, rehearsal will predict what they will do.
Right.
So what they practice and what they get to do is what they're going to do in the future.
Right.
So now if Great Uncle Phil creates this situation where it's too exciting for the dog, Great Aunt Ida is going to take the brunt of that at some point because she might get knocked over by the dog.
And often our entrance ways are small too. And, there's not enough room for everyone. And suddenly now there's a big dog running through.
And on that note too, what are you doing when people come over? Are you training your dog or are you taking their coats and helping them into the house?
Yes. And also you get, relatives who open the door a little bit too long and could the dog slip out? And
relatives that overstay their welcome a little bit too long.
Yes. But it's a prime time for dogs to sneak out the front door, and nobody noticed that they went out the front door.
Yeah.
So
now everybody's on a mission chasing the dog down the street.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're so hyper and they may not have the listening skills yet, and they just think it's a great game.
Right. Yes.
It doesn't take many opportunities like that for the dog to go, ooh, that's awesome. I'm going to look for every opportunity I can to create this game, and you end up really creating a big problem for yourself. So
dogs should be crated or away, or at the very least, another person holding the dog on a leash back out of the fray of the excitement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think at this point with Levon, he has a strong enough place command, which is sort of like a bed stay type of thing, that I am going to rely on that quite a bit this Christmas because it will be a good thing for him to experience having that self-control and that emotional control. If I want to have him rest, I'll use his crate. Again, he's 9 months old though, so he's got some skills. If he was still 3 months old.
Right.
What was the finger?
Oh, I was going to say, you're going to need that bed stay when you're wrapping all my gifts too.
Oh, it's true. And I'm going to need the finger so that I can get the tape on there.
Right, yes. But I always find when I'm wrapping gifts with a dog in the house, somehow dog hair gets on the tape.
Yes, that's true.
And I put a piece of tape on my nicely wrapped gift and there's a dog hair sticking out of it. So when you're wrapping my gift, Shannon, I'm inspecting for no dog hair in the tape.
Oh, it's going to be all dog hair. I actually have tape that is nothing but dog hair, and it no longer sticks. I just have to tie it up. That's what you're getting. Everything in the Shannon household is constantly covered in orange hair. Always, always, always. And that's despite being like, I'm pretty tidy and I clean quite a bit. Yes. Still, I'm always cleaning up hair.
Always a few escape.
And I'm always covered.
I have a non-shedding dog. And my shedding dogs have all been passed away for a few years now, and I still find hair in my house. It's like, this is definitely an Atari hair, and she's been gone a few years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! When I left my house in Brantford, I left a note for the new owners with details that I thought would be important to them, and I said in a PS, I said, I apologize for any like adventure cleaning you do where you find Toller hair still like under the fridge. Like I did thoroughly clean those things out, but I knew there's no way I'm getting rid of all of it. I spent 10 years in this house with these Tollers. there's going to be taller hair in places.
I remember one time changing baseboards out in an old house I'd moved into, and there was so much dog hair that wasn't my dog's behind the baseboard.
I bet.
Yeah, it was like, I just moved in here. How could my dogs didn't do this?
There are places. So actually, it's so funny because when the movers came, I had 3 bookcases in a room that the bookcases had just never moved since I put them there. And they were like flush against, they were right against the wall. So there was no need to ever move them. Yeah. And when they took the bookcases out of the room, I was horrified. I was so embarrassed by how much dog hair was under the bookcases. And like, I don't even understand how they got there because they were completely enclosed bottoms, but it was there and it was all like little tumbleweeds and stuff. And I thought,
that's my missing dog.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Rover, there you are. I thought you ran away.
Yeah, there's no end to the dog hair. So you know what? You can actually collect up all that dog hair and like put it in the plastic ornaments and hang it on your tree. How about that?
Yeah. Or you can hang them out for the birds. The birds will come and steal little bits.
You know, I do love doing that, but I've heard that when they're on like topical flea treatments and whatnot.
Oh,
it's not good
I forgot about that. Yes.
And I don't know yet whether I do ingestibles now just because I was finding the topicals weren't working. And of course I don't do them year round. We don't need to with our climate, but I still haven't remembered to read if the ingestibles are the same thing. Yes. And they become dangerous for the birds.
Right. We don't want to harm the birds.
No, but I love it when I actually have a video of a tiny little finch at one point. And I had put like a big fur collecting mat out. It was airing out on the back deck over the railing. And I have a video of this little bird that came and was picking out the tiny little hairs from the thing. And it just brings me joy to watch it. I love it so much. I love nature. I love animals.
I remember, I can't remember who it was, brushing one of my dogs once. Might have been one of the Melon was. And little bits of hair were going here and there. And a bird was coming and it would watch. And then when one kind of flew far enough away that they felt confident, they would take it and then off they go with it. Gosh. And it was so cute.
I think you just said flew far enough away.
Flew far enough away.
All right. Oh my gosh. So
we got to get back to Christmas.
Yeah, we ended up in spring again with birds.
What about what are dangers that Christmas presents?
Yeah. So there are oh my gosh, there's so many. We have fire. We have plants that might be toxic. We have very rich foods. Lots of fat from those foods. You know, there's so many things that can cause danger to your dogs that we really need to be very aware of them around the Christmas holidays. Yes. And it's not going to be uncommon for them to investigate those things because they're new, right? They're novel. Like all of a sudden, if they walk into the living room and there's a big tree there, most dogs, maybe not Honda at this point, but most dogs are going to go, oh, look, there's a tree, and they're going to go start sniffing.
Right, especially if it's a tree, a live tree from outdoors. It's going to have so many smells in it.
Absolutely. And if that is one thing for this year that I am definitely watching Levon closely for, because he needs to know unequivocally that lifting his leg on that indoor tree is not an option. And actually, I think I said several podcasts ago that I usually have intact males, and every single one of them has tried to lift their leg in the house at one point, and I have caught them on that first one, and I have made it very clear it is not acceptable, and they have never tried to do it again. Knock on wood. I've been very lucky with being able to be there, but I also set myself up for that. You know, I don't let my dogs go and wander before I feel like they're really ready. I don't give them access to the full house, etc., until I feel like they are really ready for that challenge, because I do not want to have to clean up messes that I've created by not supervising strongly enough. Yes. And a dog that learns to lift their leg in the house, that's a big mess, you know, and literally and figuratively, you know?
Yes.
So anyway.
Especially on your Christmas tree, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I did have that leg lifting moment with Levon, so I think it's in the bank and done.
Good. Excellent. So, excellent. Yes.
The upstairs of my house, I hadn't really let him have access to yet. And there wasn't really any need for him. There's just bedrooms and
you have those kind of hard stairs, too.
Yes.
Like they're not see-through stairs. They have
they're open back.
Open back stairs, yes.
And they can be slick as well. Like even myself walking down the stairs, I'm usually really conscious and aware. And Levon kind of does.
You need an acorn stair lift.
I do. I should get one. Levon kind of does the bunny hop down the stairs still, so at least he does it slowly enough that I'm like, okay, I think he's fine. But there's also no rail on the outside. So I also was a little bit anxious that he might, not that he would fall off the side, but that he would start leaping off the side. So I wanted him to be a little bit more mature before going up there. But anyways, I've started bringing him up with me when I go to shower and get dressed and things like that. So he
no more walking around the house naked.
Exactly. I needed to put some clothes on. So anyways, we were in the bathroom, and it was the first time that he had been in that upstairs bathroom. So I'm keeping an eye on him, and he's sniffing around, and then he sniffed the garbage can. And on the garbage can, he decided that's the place I need to lift my leg. So, of course, as soon as he started, I was able to say, hey, no, what are you doing? And he stopped. And then, of course, I praised him. And I told him to lie down. And I just sort of like cleaned it up, moved on from there. But I startled him in that moment enough that he went, oh, okay, I guess that's wrong, right? And that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be a question in his mind at all.
Right.
And if he hadn't stopped, I would have followed through with discipline further than that. But of course, he stopped on my voice, so I was able to say, okay, well, that's better. Now come over here and lie down. Right.
And if you had gone into another room and then walked in the bathroom 5 minutes later and found that, now you have a problem because it happened and it was successful.
Yeah, and truly, I don't even know if I would have known that it was him lifting his leg because
you would have thought it was Kip. It's like, oh my gosh, Kip really splashed.
Quite often, Kip will have his shower, get out, leave wet footprints on the floor, and then move on with his day, and I clean up the wet footprints. It's just our relationship. It's how it goes.
Why did he walk on the garbage? So I probably
would have thought, this is wet footprints. I might have just cleaned it up, thrown it in the garbage, and moved on with my life.
Yeah.
So is that supervision, especially with our intact males, right? Like as he's getting into that adolescent behavior, that's something that's going to be more, although he's been lifting his leg for a long, long time, but that drive to do it and to mark territory, et cetera, gets stronger and stronger. So I'm so glad I had that moment.
Yes.
It's in the bank.
Perfect.
I feel good now about the fact that it's probably not going to happen again because I was very clear, but I'm still going to be conscious of it.
Right, yes.
And especially as things like Christmas trees come out. You know, that Christmas tree is going to be a big temptation because it
smells like
normally
outside.
Is okay.
Right, yes.
Right? There's normally no issue. When I say, okay, go pee on things,
right?
He can pee on whatever he wants in that scenario.
Right, yes.
I don't usually say that in the house, so, he doesn't get confused by that. But
And another thing with a live tree, too, is we water them. So we got to watch for the dogs sticking their head in and drinking the water because you don't know what's in that water.
Yeah, do you think it would be dangerous for them?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what the concentration of anything in there, but there would definitely be stuff seeping out of the tree.
Yes, and I assume Christmas trees are sprayed with pesticides.
Oh,
because I don't think they don't want spiders and all kinds of bugs in them.
Well,
so and that would leach down.
Yeah, and like nature absorbs all the things around it. Like if you ever see those flowers that have like fluorescent leaves and colored leaves, it's because they've put colors in the water and the flowers absorbed it. So I wonder if that would happen with Christmas trees as well.
Like I imagine a couple little tongue flicks in there is not going to do any harm, but I wouldn't want my dog drinking that entire bucket of dirty water out of the tree. So so watch, especially with Labradors. Labradors love water.
Yeah. Well, and things that are shiny all over the tree are going to be exciting for the dogs.
Right. Especially if you have any little plush ornaments.
Oh, yeah, good point.
I make sure anything plush and fluffy is at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of I don't know if these still exist or not. I remember my grandmother's tree had those like actual little finches or chickadees maybe, like the little birds.
Yeah, you can still get them.
And they had real feathers.
Right.
So that's going to be appealing to a lot of dogs.
I have some ornaments that are made out of dough too, like hardened dough that have been painted.
Yeah.
Oh, that could smell edible. Yes.
Yeah.
And tinsel, garland. Yeah. Very dangerous for dogs to ingest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the hook that holds the ornaments can get stuck to a tongue and swallowed down very quickly.
Yeah. A lot of the ornaments can be glass. They can be sharp, like plastic pieces. Ooh, yeah.
So, if you have a new dog, you might say, okay, I'm going to pick and choose maybe this year a bit what I'm going to put on the tree, but I'm always going to be supervising.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. When that dog's loose, we are watching the dog and making sure that tree is safe.
Yeah. And, if you don't want to spend your whole time worrying about the dog going up to the tree, put an X pen around it.
Yep.
Get an open X pen. Put it around the tree so the dog can't get closer. Right. And then you don't have to worry about the gift thing either. Because if there's gifts that contain chocolate, alcohol chocolates, like those things can be really, really dangerous for dogs.
That happened to my parents one year. They, my dad was a school teacher. He's retired now, but they got tons and tons of chocolates and all that from kids. And my dad...
Do teachers still get gifts at Christmas?
I believe so,
okay,
yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Probably a lot of gift cards now, I bet. And my dad put all these chocolates under the tree. And my parents' dogs aren't allowed in the living room. And they're normally very good. But on Christmas Eve, we were out visiting. And his name was Driver, went under the tree and unwrapped a gift of chocolates.
Oh, my goodness.
And my parents came home to find he'd eaten an entire box of chocolates on Christmas Eve. The last thing you want to do. My dad called the emergency vet, and the emergency vet gave him step-by-step instructions over the phone.
Okay.
I think the emergency vet didn't want to have him come in on Christmas Eve either. Normally, go to the emergency vet, or at least call them, find out, and all was well. I think the chocolates were more of a milk chocolate variety.
Okay, good.
They weren't a dark chocolate, but
and on
be
that
cautious.
Note, let's drill down on that just for a second, because I know without question, because for 25 years I've heard people say this. I've heard people say that chocolate toxicity thing is a myth. So let's talk about why sometimes you can get away with giving your dogs chocolate and why you can't. You worked at an emergency clinic,
yes. So the darker the chocolate, the higher the concentration of theobromine, and that is toxic to dogs. So if your dog eats one milk chocolate by mistake, and it's a big dog, chances are you're going to be fine. But a Chihuahua
St.
eating
Bernard
one,
Hershey's Kiss,
right
to go.
But I'm not going to intentionally feed my dog of that. But if they stole one, I'm not going to panic. But if I had dark chocolates and a medium-sized dog ate an entire box, now I'm worried. I'm very worried.
Absolutely.
And at the emergency clinic, we did see dogs pass away from eating chocolate. So it does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen. Yeah. So be very cautious. There's call your vet or the emergency clinic if your dog eats anything out of the ordinary, just to check.
Absolutely. There's also like the poison control hotline. They are going to charge you, but at least they will be able to help you decide whether it's an emergency. Like there are ways that you can figure out if you need to rush to the vet or not.
Right.
But definitely don't just dismiss it as myth, because it is not. It is not. Definitely not a myth.
Yes. We had around Easter, Halloween, and Christmas time, when I worked in the veterinary emergency, I worked at the front desk, and it was, very, very, very common. One time on New Year's Eve, a dog had eaten an entire bag of chocolate-covered almonds, and the people had a few different couples over, so they brought all the couples, and they continued their New Year's Eve fun and chatting at the veterinary hospital in our lobby. So that was kind of fun.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
The dog was throwing up the chocolate.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
Yes.
Let's talk about some other things that can be very dangerous with dogs too. And sticking with the candy thing, I'm thinking right away of the sugar substitutes.
Right, yeah.
Xylitol, which is often marketed as birch sugar. What's the other one it's marketed as?
Oh.
Monk fruit?
I can't remember.
Monk fruit? I think it's monk fruit.
Monk fruit.
I think they call it monk fruit as well. Basically, it is synthesized sugar, and it's common in gum. It's actually in toothpastes as well, but they're using it more and more in products.
Yes.
Calorie-reduced peanut butters, etc. They will use xylitol in place of sugar. It is incredibly toxic for dogs.
Yes.
So basically, if your dog eats anything out of the ordinary, I'd be looking it up. I'd be figuring out in a hurry if that's something that's going to hurt your dog, because there's a lot of rich things around Christmas.
Yes, and watch for alcoholic beverages too. People, who aren't used to having dogs in the house, might put down
a glass of wine,
a glass of Bailey's or a glass of wine, and the dog says delicious and sticks their tongue in it.
Believe it or not, I occasionally drink wine.
Really?
I love wine. I make wine spritzers with boob, so I don't end up drinking as much wine and then feeling crappy the next day. Right. But I'll put a little bit of white wine, and then I'll put some buble in the white wine.
Oh, that would be delicious.
And yeah, they're really nice. But Levon's incredibly attracted to the smell. And of course, grapes are toxic for dogs. So not just the alcohol part, but also the toxicity of the grapes in wine, etc. Right. I'm always having to watch that, like I see his little nose start air scenting and then going towards the glass, and right away I'm like, hey, don't you dare. That's not for you, sort of thing. But I have no doubt that if he had the opportunity, he'd start lapping that up.
Right.
And,
yes.
There's a whole bunch of stuff in there that I don't want him to have. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there I shouldn't have either.
Right. Yeah.
But, what are you going to do?
Yes. Yeah.
It's our adult candy.
Candles. You have an open flame. Fireplaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tails.
Yep.
Tails for candles. Try to keep your candles up nice and high so the dogs can't get into them. Different plants. Let's talk about different plants for a minute. Did you see Did you see dogs come in after eating plants?
People would, yes. So dogs would eat poinsettias quite often. Now, poinsettias aren't as toxic as they've made them out to be.
Okay.
I think your dog has to eat a lot of poinsettia to get really sick. But
like a lot of poinsettia or as poinsettias?
Poinsettias.
Okay.
Yes. But err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
If they're biting, chewing on a poinsettia, immediately get it out of their mouths. Call your vet. Double check. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
We'd see a lot of cats very sick from lilies. So keep that in mind if you have any cats. Keep lilies, especially around Easter time, out of your house. They're very, very toxic.
I didn't even know that. Are they toxic for dogs too?
I don't know if they are. I don't think they are, but for cats, they're extremely toxic.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yes.
I don't have cats. My sister, though.
Yeah. Watch out, too, for chewing on electrical cords. So we have more things plugged in.
Yeah.
We did
bright,
see...
shiny, twinkly, blinking.
Right.
Yeah.
We did see cats and puppies come in the odd time with a lot of electrical burns around their mouths from chewing the cords. Yes.
Oh, that would hurt. Mm-hmm. That'd be awful.
Right.
Yeah, I would imagine, you see dogs get really obsessed really quickly over things like laser pointers. Mm-hmm. So lights are attractive to them. They're definitely attractive, and especially moving lights. And we have a lot of things like that around Christmas.
Yes.
So something else that often occurs to me is the actual decorations out there in the world as well. Mm-hmm. And we talked a lot about this for Halloween, but I think it's something that's happening a lot more for Christmas too, because you've got all the big blow up things. The big blow up
Santas and yes. So they can cause the dog to spook when you're out walking.
Yeah, most definitely. So if you don't have the best control with your dog, and they spook and they run off, that's a scary situation. So, I mean, recall aside, you want to make sure you have a good recall, but if your dog is not trained to that point yet, do make sure that they are very secure and safe on leash. You know what? Here's something I feel like we neglect saying a lot. Check your equipment. Mm-hmm. Check your equipment. Every time I put my dog's equipment on, I have a quick look to make sure that everything is safe and secure. Right. It's just sort of an automatic that I do. I check plungers on clips and things like that. And I have excellent control of my dogs. Right. I have no doubt that in most situations, in pretty much 99.9% of situations with Ned, and probably about 92 to 95% of situations with Levon at this point, because of the training he's got in him, I feel secure that I would call my dogs back, no problem. But it's still good to.
Yes. Well, one way I know dogs do sometimes escape from their leash, which is common, is you have the D-ring on the collar, and then you have your dog's tags attached, and they're often attached with a little wire loop. Yeah. And in your haste, sometimes you miss the D-ring and attach it to the loop. And the loop of the tags, and those tag loops are not strong.
No,
I can break them apart with my own fingers. So the first moment the dog lunges forward, that undoes and your dog is loose. So we see it happen in class. Often if a dog gets loose in class, it's because the person attached it to the tag ring, not the D-ring on the collar.
Yeah, it's true.
So watch where you're attaching.
Yeah, you know what? It just occurred to me that it would be nice to have just a little fail-safe when we're in training mode with our dogs, where you attach to the D-ring and then you have another loop that also attaches to the D-ring. Mm-hmm. So if one of those failed, you would still have that backup sort of thing. Or sometimes I'm going to do that with my next puppy.
With the snap collars too. If you have those plastic snap-together collars, sometimes they don't quite catch, especially if you have a cheap one. They don't quite catch. So you think it's on, but then the moment the dog pulls, it never really was snapped together. And boop.
Absolutely. Off they go. Well, and I find that too, the ones that are very quality built usually aren't the pretty ones. Right. The ones that are these pretty designer colors, or maybe they say Superman on them, or maybe they, maybe they're a graphic or something like that. They often have cheap snaps that do break, that do come apart.
Yes, we do see them snap and crack in class. Yes.
And they get old too. They get weathered and old. Plastic doesn't necessarily last forever, although in landfills it seems to, but on our dogs' collars, it can get worn with the weather because they're out there. They might be out there swimming in it, right? I do snap collars once my dogs are well trained. I just like being able to put them on and pull them off a little bit easier. And I replace them probably every 6 or 7 years because my dogs spend a lot of time swimming. Right. And I notice that the plastic starts to wear a little bit, and I don't want a chance in equipment failure.
Right, so. Yes. Yeah, so a buckle collar is your safest.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If you have a snap, keep expecting it. I had one dog who was afraid of the snap. and I ended up not using a snap collar.
Ah, interesting.
I can't remember who it was. It was one of my, it was Cowboy, my Saluki. When you went around to put a snap collar, that clicking noise panicked her.
Okay.
And she started panic getting her collar put on. And I thought, what's happening here? And then I realized it was the noise, because I would put a buckle collar on and there was no response. And it's like, So interesting. Yeah. So if you have a dog that seems worried about their collar, it could be that snapping noise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I get into the habit of checking your equipment, though. It's a really good thing to be able to be on top of anything that needs to be repaired or replaced, etc. So, okay,
and
back
there's no shame in having 12 collars. There's no shame.
Build a beautiful rainbow down your dog's neck.
Oh, no, I didn't mean like that. I just meant in being a collar collector. I had 12 collars for Cowboy, so she could be in whatever outfit she wanted to be in that day. And there's no shame in that. Because some people just have one collar for their dog.
Can you imagine? I honestly only have one collar for each dog, because you can't ever see their collars anyways, because they're coated.
So weird.
Levon's the first dog that I have had that you can actually see his collar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of them, it just gets hidden.
Yeah, I had quite the collection of beautiful collars for Cowboy.
Yeah, because she had a beautiful sleek neck.
Yes.
That they would look so nice on.
Right.
I remember the one that you had for her in the production of Aida.
Oh, yes. It had tassels and everything on
very
it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, she looked stunning.
And quite a few bedazzled collars, too. There's nothing wrong with bedazzled collars. I
have lots of bedazzled clothing as well. I wear it everywhere I go.
Well, when we went out to that last concert we went to, or the circus we went to, you were fully decked out, bedazzled.
I was fully bedazzled. No, I'm kidding. I don't bedazzle. But maybe I should start. That's what's been missing in my life. The bedazzle.
The bedazzle.
Oh, man. Okay, so back to Christmas.
Right.
Back to food at Christmas specifically.
Pancreatitis is a big one if your dog eats a lot of turkey or other high-fat foods.
Yes.
And that can be a life-threatening situation.
It can, absolutely.
So, it's fine to give them a teeny-weeny little nibble of the turkey so they get a taste.
Nibble.
Yeah, you don't want to give them copious amounts of turkey.
Yeah. What about the bones?
If they're cooked, they're definitely a no-no.
Yeah.
Dogs can have raw bones, but once again, under supervision, double check,
And do your reading before you give your dog any sort of raw bones, because there are things that you want to avoid. Weight-bearing bones, for example, over non-weight-bearing bones. There's all sorts of things that you want to be very careful about, especially if it's an ingestible weight-bearing bone. If it's a non-ingestible weight-bearing bone, then there's, like I said, there's different thoughts with different things. And I would be very hesitant to give my dog any sort of turkey bones, even raw. But chicken bones are a little bit different, but not weight bearing. Like there's all sorts of things you need to be aware of. So do some research if you plan to give your dogs raw anything. But all cooked bones can splinter and can cause punctures in the intestine, in the stomach. Like it's just not a
worth
good
it.
idea.
Yes. And it's another reason to put your dogs away too, because children, you don't realize they're leaving bones, or, your uncle who has never owned a dog, leaves a bone or part of the carcass out. People who don't have dogs won't be, or they think they're doing the dog a favor by giving it a great big turkey wing or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's another reason to have your dogs away, keeping them safe.
I'm very clear with any guests that I ever have over when there's rules about the dogs. But I also take full responsibility for my dogs in every moment. If there is a mistake, it is my fault, even if it's not my mistake to make, because I am responsible for my dogs. So you cannot expect your guests to play by the same rules. You can't expect your guests to understand that, the chocolate that they're eating can't go to the dog, or like you said, they might think they're being nice to the dog. I remember when Jaden was a pup and I had some non-dog friends over. This is how long ago I've had non-dog friends.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever known you to have a non-dog friend.
I don't have very many non-dog friends left, honestly. They just sort of whittled out over the years because you get to this point where you just end up with your circle of friends and your interests go in that direction and whatnot. But he was a pup and we were having pizza, and of course my idea of giving him a piece of the pizza when you're done with your pizza and you give the little tidbit to the dog was like, maybe a dime-sized piece of pizza. Drop a dime. And their idea, they had like these huge crusts and they were like, can we give it to the dog? It was horrifying for me to think about how much pizza this dog would end up getting with 3 or 4 friends who all wanted to give the dog their crust.
The entire crust. And the crust is the best part. I love the crust.
I love the crust too. I'm a crust person too.
I'm a crust person, yep.
But yeah, like in that moment, it was horrifying, but how would they know?
But Well, I had at a patent chat, we sometimes would, with McCann's, go and to different expositions and that with our dogs and, talk with the public and they'd pat our dogs. Yeah. And I had one man all of a sudden just whip out a great big pepperoni stick and hand it to Gavin. Without asking. I was talking to someone and all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, in one swoop motion, the man, he had bought like a pack of beef sticks at one of the meat vendors at this outdoor show. And suddenly he just whipped one out and before I could do anything, hands it to Gavin. And as I'm saying, Gavin's just swallowing it whole. Can't believe his luck. And wouldn't you know, about 5 minutes later, Gavin barfed up a huge pepperoni stick in front of like a whole bunch of people.
The kids were running, screaming.
Yeah. But you don't know what people are going to do.
Isn't that funny?
So I learned a valuable lesson at that point. It's like, Gavin, you stand right beside me and no men with pepperoni sticks.
I'm watching all you men. I'm watching all you men.
I had one really kind lady. She was drinking a Tim Hortons coffee. And Gavin used to always get to lick my Tim Hortons coffee cup. He loved it. And so he's showing great interest in her and he's watching her and she's patting him. And I said, oh, he's waiting to lick your cup after I let him lick my cup. And she went, oh. And then I watched her. She went and stood just a little bit out of the way and just started like feverishly drinking her coffee and then came running over to let him lick the cup.
Oh my gosh, we are so good to our animals.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, the dog wants to lick my cup. I have to. Oh, that's so sweet.
It was like so heartwarming. I thought that poor woman's like gulping down this cup of coffee just so Gavin can lick her coffee cup. And she's so nice. Yeah. And then I thought, please let Gavin want to lick it because you never know, he might go, I like your coffee, lady. Yeah. But no, he was happy to lick her cup and she was quite pleased.
That is so funny. Yes. Oh my goodness. I have a great picture of Reggie, Canadian dog, Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, with a Tim Hortons cup socked over his nose on Canada Day. And there's a Canadian flag hanging behind him on our sailboat. Just makes me laugh every time. The Canadian dog drinking the Canadian coffee.
Yes. Perfect.
On the sailboat, which is not Christmas related. Right. My goodness. How do we keep getting off track?
Was there a moose in the background? And a beaver building a dam.
There was a moose swimming.
A moose swimming by and a beaver with a dam.
The beaver was building the dam on the back of the sailboat.
Yeah. RCMP officer saluting.
Oh my gosh, that would
Red Mountie.
That would be the best picture. Right. Even better than the one I just described.
Right, yes.
And I have to do it.
Yeah, and then me bumping into Kip or something going, sorry, in the background. No, actually, Kip bumping into me and me saying sorry, because that's what we do. Somebody whacks into us in the mall and we say sorry, and they say sorry too, but yeah.
But meanwhile, we don't really mean it. We're like cursing them under their breath. What the heck is wrong with that person? Can't they walk?
Yes. Bubble person.
We're
bubble
just pretending to be really apologetic.
Have my bubble. Stay out of my bubble.
Come on. That was one good thing about COVID was that you got this bigger bubble.
I know. I loved it. I loved it. Yes.
Now people are like, and you could like call people on it when they were in your bubble. Right. Now we're back to like, no, I just have to stand here and be uncomfortable instead of like, hey, this is for all of us, right? Like 6 feet for all of us.
Right. Yep. Yep. And I liked the mask too, so I didn't have to breathe other people's air in.
Yeah.
Now I'm back to breathing in other people's air like a schmo.
Breathing my own foul breath in all day, every day. Oh God. All right. Christmas with the cranks.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
How about Christmas morning? Now, do you go to your sister's house and watch the kids open gifts?
Yes. So usually I will go Christmas Eve and then stay overnight. Yeah. So the dogs will be with me, of course, to do that. And then we spend Christmas Day with Kip's family. Not Christmas Day, but Christmas Day dinner. Eve.
Yep.
Yeah. We end up usually up in Severn. Yeah, so it's just like it's a busy time, and of course the dogs will be there for that too, because they can't stay on their own. And I mean, there's no reason that I wouldn't bring them with me.
Yes.
Yes. I wouldn't want to spend my Christmas without my dogs. Would you?
No. I like to. If I'm going away and the people are happy with my dogs, then I'm definitely going to bring them. Yes,
they're my family. We're like a package deal. You know, you want me, you get the dogs too, or you want the dogs, you get me too.
I find too, people are, especially my non-dog family members, are appreciative of how well I manage my dogs too. Absolutely. I don't show up at their house, open the door, and let my dog run in. Yeah. My dog's under control. I've brought my dog's crate. I've bought my dogs their own blanket. I clean up after them. We've a family member we've stayed at. They don't have a dog, but they have a yard, and it's like, you know what? I maybe not going to let them go to the bathroom in their yard, so they don't have to look at yellow snow after I leave. I'll just be very respectful. That way, I know we're welcome and we're invited back.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so nice to like be able to do that, right? To be able to be welcomed back because you have put your best foot forward with your dog. And I think that's something that we kind of get accustomed to. Our dogs are able to come with us places because they listen. Yes. And because they're not obnoxious and because they're not stealing the kids' toys and chewing them up and they're not lifting their legs on the person's sofa. And my sister knows full well. I mean, my sister would love me and my dogs even if they did lift their leg on her tree, but she's my sister and she has to. Yeah. But if it was just like if it's Kip's sister, for example, and we go to visit there, she's probably not going to think very highly of me if my dogs are running wild and lifting their legs on her tree and things like that. So I have to take responsibility for my dogs at all times. And that means either managing them or relying on their skills to keep them in the good graces of everybody. And then everybody can enjoy them as well because everybody loves a well-trained dog.
Yes, they do. One thing I like to do when so my dogs are away when guests come over because I'm there to focus on my guests. Yeah. But if I have a young dog that I want to do some training with, I'm going to explain to my guests. I'm going to say, do you guys mind? I'm going to bring my puppy out and I'm just going to do some little things with the puppy, while we chat. And I'll bring the puppy out and I will do some, rather than letting the puppy rush to my guests, I'm going to do some skills and maybe put on a little trick show.
Yeah, I love that.
So my puppy says, here I am amongst all these people, but I'm still focusing on Christine. The value's still on Christine and we're doing things with Christine. It's not a free-for-all. And my, guests...
Do your dogs call you Christine, not Swanee?
I don't know what they refer. I think they just refer me to that nice lady. That nice lady
that nice
over
blonde
there.
Lady.
Yeah, that comes over. Yeah. Our servant.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. No, definitely not their servant.
That's the cats.
Right. Yes. The cats.
Yeah.
And your family. Like I remember, especially like Ty's grandmother, who was quite elderly. Like she looked forward to seeing the dog's tricks, and I might even have the dogs do some tricks for her that were simple, and. It was kind of a fun part of Christmas was the little trick show or training show that we'd put on with the dogs. So do things like that rather than let your dog accost the guests.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have an older dog, of course, Honda now can, he can walk around and be with the guests and, he can show off some tricks and he can be part of it because he's a trained dog. Yes. But when Honda was 6 months old, he was very well managed at Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's going to be my life this year in a nutshell, both halves of that coin you just described, because Ned is, of course, Mr. Reliable, and Levon is doing great, but he's still 9 months old, so he's still got lots of impulsiveness in him and whatnot. So I'll be managing Levon very well, and Ned will just make me look good. So
yes.
Levon will make me look tired. And then, no, I'm just kidding. He's a good boy. He's got lots of good skills that I can rely on. So I actually don't anticipate it being hard at all with the skills that I have.
It's like a training opportunity.
You bet. And like, I know we've been talking a lot lately that I've been working really hard on his place and he's doing so great with that. So I'll be relying on that. But if I didn't have that place command, I would still utilize that type of training. I might put him on leash. I might give him something to chew, and I might anchor that leash under my foot. Right. So the goal is that he lays down and chews that thing. But if he decides, oh, look somebody just came in the room or say the cat walks in the room or one of Every time I say or, I want to start doing my seal impression. Anyways, I'll save that for another
Christmas
episode.
seal.
Yeah. Or, or something shiny under the tree catches his attention.
Yep. Or a whiff of something good.
If he gets up to try to leave that scenario and I have the leash anchored under my foot, well, guess what? He's not getting very far. Right? Mm-hmm. And that serves a couple of purposes for me. It serves the purpose of stopping him from leaving the situation that I've said I want you to be in. And it also keeps me honest about this situation. Right. Because if I didn't have that leash under my foot and I started talking to one of my guests and getting distracted, maybe we're having this heated political discussion and I don't notice my dog leave. Right? And then all of a sudden I hear something under the tree and my dog's unwrapping a present.
Or licking all the candies in the candy bowl. That has happened at my mom's house.
Oh, no.
Yeah, one time we were in the living room and it's like, why are the candies all wet? My mom had like the Christmas ribbon candy.
Pre-sucked candies.
It's like, these are all wet and stuck together and sticky. And we realized my mom's dog had snuck in and had licked all the candies.
Did you guys still eat the candies?
No. My mom got us new candy.
Would you have eaten it if it was your dog?
No.
Are you sure?
No, because they licked all the delicious flavor off it. Yeah, like, you know what? That first couple seconds in your mouth is the sugary, delicious part.
Sugary deliciousness.
Right, yeah. So they had licked all the sugary delicious off.
Well, and at that point, the dog's gotten the reward, right? So this is a good way to look at it. They've already licked the sugary deliciousness off that candy.
Yeah.
Or if it's unwrapping a present under the tree, you know what? It doesn't even need to go that far. Dogs are scavengers by nature.
Right.
So if my dog gets to the tree and starts sniffing that thing, he's been rewarded.
Right.
He's been rewarded for ignoring what I want him to do. So having that leash anchored under my foot or, maybe anchored under the table or something like that, but in some way that's going to make me aware of my dog, even if I happen to not be paying 100% attention to my dog, which that's a risk in and of itself. And you need to decide if your dog is reliable enough for you to take their attention off them at that point, or if they're still so much of a puppy that you should have your eyes on them 100% because you might not be able to intervene. So,
and even an adult dog with something novel in the house can catch you off guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
We bought Ty one of those little Siamese fighting fish when he was young. Fun. And Cowboy was very tall. She was a tall dog. So it came home in a little bowl, and we soon got a bigger aquarium type to live in. But remember, we put the bowl on a table and, thought nothing of it, and off we went. And later on, it's like, what happened to a lot of the water? It's gone.
I thought you were going to say what happened to the fish.
No, the fish was still in there, but he was all like squashed at the bottom with hardly any water. I thought Cowboy's been drinking the fishbowl water. And it never occurred to me she would walk over and go, oh, I'm thirsty. I love this elevated bowl.
They got me a new water bowl.
Yeah, that poor fish.
Entertainment inside.
That poor fish must have been looking up, trying to avoid this big pink tongue.
Can you imagine the thought process of the fish?
Yeah.
It's coming closer. It's coming closer.
But so, I never thought of that. So I was like, oh, I guess this has to get up much higher. And Cowboy, this is not a water bowl. And then we got a better aquarium with a lid. But anything novel coming into the house can throw your dog off. So always supervise when something new's in.
I'm really glad that Cowboy didn't eat the fish. How old was Ty?
Oh, Ty was maybe, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, it would have been devastating.
It would have been devastating,
for him to be excited about his fish.
And gulp.
Oh, and I wonder how much that would impact how he looked at Cowboy too.
Right.
Although maybe not
Shake
a
my
ton.
fish.
Yeah, because maybe he hadn't gotten attached to the fish just yet.
Right.
But picture if he was in love with that fish and 5 months into the relationship with the fish.
Yes.
Relationship, quote unquote.
Right.
And Cowboy ate the fish.
Yes. I would have been that parent who's at the pet store going, I need another blue fish. I need a blue fish that looked just like this one and show up a photo. Yeah.
If the pets die, don't replace them. We'll know. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Cowboy at least was a very picky eater, so she might have spat the fish out. She might have went, oh, there's a lump in my water bowl.
Oh, well, that would have been nice of her. As long as it got spit back into the water.
But it was so funny walking by. It's like, what? There's only half the water left in there.
Oh my gosh.
It was full 10 minutes ago.
That just made me think of the floating candle setups.
Oh, right.
There's one to think about too.
Yes.
Make sure those floating candles are up high. If you have like those bowls with the, they're very pretty.
Yes.
But, ooh, yeah, that would be tempting for a dog.
And a general winter, scarves around your neck. Be careful. Some dogs will think that's a tug toy. And, they'll jump up and grab scarves around people's neck. Discipline. When that happens, you're going to discipline. That is dangerous.
Laugh,
yes.
But I'm laughing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, we've all seen videos, I think, of America's Funniest Home Videos, but it can be fatal.
Yeah.
If a dog grabs a child's scarf and starts pulling.
Yeah, that's actually really scary when you say it like that. I definitely sobered up very quickly on that thought when you said a child.
Yes.
Like, yikes.
Yeah, or an elderly person. Yeah, that's never to be encouraged, a dog playing tug with any of your clothing.
Yeah, unless you've got a Schwarzenegger neck.
Right.
You probably shouldn't entertain it. No, even then. Yeah, no, that's a good point. There's things that are going to be appealing to dogs in the clothing on Christmas as well. Actually, this just happened to me this morning. We've just gotten our dumping of snow, and I was coming into work for this was the first time I've come into the office to work, or come into the hall to work, rather, since we got that dumping of snow. So I put on my big winter boots, which have this lovely, like, fur-lined top to them. Yeah. And, of course, Levon had me in hysterics. He was so excited about the fur. So, of course.
You're wearing toys on your legs.
Of course, I'm laughing at him as he like grabs my boot and runs the hallway and like starts dancing with it. And, like, I told him to bring it here and he did. Like, I'm not at the point anymore where I'm worried he's going to play keep away. So I just got to laugh at him doing this thing. That's the real reason to train your dog. When they're naughty, you get to laugh at them instead of being put out. So I'm laughing at him, and then I told him to bring it here and he brought it here, and we had like a quick little game of tug with it. And then I told him to out, and told him he was a good boy for outing. And then as I was putting it on my feet, he was like staring. He was like, oh my gosh, that's the best thing ever. Can I? And he's like looking at me. Can I get it? Because he knows, he knows at this point, if it's on my body in any way, if I'm holding it, you're not allowed to grab it until I give you permission, sort of thing. So that's bled over into my footwear. If it's not on my body, he thinks it's great to grab and have a play with. And if it is on my body, he's showing self-control. Another good reason to train. You can laugh at your dog.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's lots of things that will be appealing when we put on our fuzzy mitts, when we put on our fuzzy scarves, things like that.
The pom-pom on your toque?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, I remember I had a pom-pom go missing off my toque.
Oh, no.
Many years ago. I think it was Cowboy.
Oh, no.
I think it was Cowboy. One day, we used to keep has like a basket. We kept all our toques and mittens and all that in. And one year, suddenly, I found a toque without a pom-pom. The pom-pom was on the floor.
Oh,
like,
no. Well, at least you found the pom-pom.
Right, yes.
That is a good thing.
Right, yes.
It's when you don't find the things that it's scary.
Yes, yeah. She had pulled the pom-pom. So now we had to do some training with toques and pom-poms and work on it, yes. So, even adult dogs do goofy things. So, I thought Cowboy was over the... all that puppy stuff, because as a puppy, I would have been watching her like a hawk. But, I got a brand new pom-pom. I think it looked like faux fur on it. And she thought, hey, that looks great. I'm going to see what I can get away with. So
it's the best thing ever.
Right. So always be cautious with our dogs.
Yeah.
That's, you don't know what age they are.
Yeah.
They can still get into mischief.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And when you're busy and these scenarios are happening and there's lots of stimulation with them, there's all sorts of things that they might get into. So even with those well-trained dogs, I mean, I joke about how Ned will be like plug and play, but truly, he's still a dog.
Right.
And the whole family watches out for Ned, though, right? So if Ned was getting into something, he'd get ratted out in a heartbeat. Ned's doing that.
I like it. I have had my dogs rat each other out, too. Atari, my Sheltie, was extremely intelligent, and she would rat Honda out sometimes. Honda likes to shred paper, so that's one thing I have to watch him for. So if you leave he doesn't do it anymore. This is younger Honda. Say you left like a bill out on the table or something like that. If it was in Honda's little mouth reach, he would sometimes take it off and shred it. He loved to shred things, or Kleenex. If he could get to a Kleenex box, he'd pull Kleenex out and shred it. And it's funny because sometimes also Atari would come running up to me all business-like looking, and you could see her like, what? And I'm like, what? And then I go, and there's Honda with a piece of Kleenex just shredding it. It's like, Atari told on him. This is awesome. So it's neat when your dog's a snitch. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I thought that was, so funny that she recognized that. Oh, that makes Christine angry. I better go get her and let her know it's not me doing it. Yeah.
This has to stop. Yes. Cowboy wouldn't listen to me. This has to stop.
Yeah,
no, Honda wouldn't listen to me. Sorry.
I forgot Honda used to love Kleenex when he was younger.
That's
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Way to go, Atari.
Yeah.
Way to go. Alrighty. Any other Christmas warnings you want to put out there?
No, just enjoy. Get out and enjoy, and don't be afraid to put up your decorations. Enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Just think about a safety element to make sure that the dogs don't get themselves into mischief.
Right.
And you can enjoy it all. And if you want to include your dogs in Christmas, any thoughts for the people on that, Swanee?
Just you're supervising, you're managing well, and
Do you let your dogs unwrap Christmas presents?
Some dogs have unwrapped them. Other dogs haven't been as unwrappy, but some dogs naturally have. Some dogs naturally have unwrapped them.
I love how we make up words on
right,
the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So if they want to unwrap it, they can with my express permission. Like I say, okay, let's get this, and I might start ripping it and then encourage them. And
it's funny how they figure out very quickly that the good things are inside when it's a present.
Right. Yes.
It always amazes me that they're like, you joke about the kid playing with the box over Christmas and not the toy inside. But that's not what dogs do. They figure out very quickly that even the dogs that love shredding paper, they figure out very quickly that the value is really inside the paper. There's no point in shredding the paper because the good stuff is inside.
Yeah.
So.
Or if you put it in a Christmas bag with some tissue paper, like they stuff their head right into to see what's in there.
You know what I'm going to buy Honda for Christmas?
What?
A puppy.
I'm going to buy you some baby goats for your property.
Baby goats?
Baby goats.
I love baby goats. They'll help me cut the grass.
They will. They will. And they'll leave lots of little raisins around.
Nice. I actually had a goat named after me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Shannon the goat?
Yeah, a friend of mine that I field train with had goats, and she named one of her goats Shannon.
There's no greater
after
honor.
Me. I know. I loved her goats. I really, really loved them.
Goats are nice, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in many years now because she hasn't been keeping them for many years, but they have a whole bunch of critters, so it's lots of fun. Anyways, on that note, I'm Instructor Shannon.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
She's Merry Christmas.
Oh, I'm Instructor Swanee. But I wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays and enjoy.
The McCann Dogs Podcast is brought to you by McCann Professional Dog Trainers. We help dog owners to have a well-behaved, four-legged family member. Please give us a call at 905-659-1888 or visit us at mccanndogs.com. Happy training!